Picking up from where we left off last week, talking about spiritual awakening versus spiritual bypassing and the journey of spiritual ascension.
And that it's not linear.
No, it's definitely not.
Welcome, I'm Elise.
And I'm Jess, and this is Spiritual Alchemy,
the podcast where we explore the intersection of science and spirituality
and how it shapes our everyday lives. I think it's time for me to share my big revelation.
Sure,
because it's X related.
Okay.
And I will also say, like, yeah, I echo that. Like, I never really hated any of my exes. I had a revelation of a situation that I had healed recently. And without getting into too many specifics, but giving the overall gist, I went through a very intense relationship when I was in my early 20s, like baby 20s. And it was with somebody who was a very significant amount older than me. And actually, what's funny is the person that I was with was my age that I am now when we got together. And it blows my mind because I'm like, I would never date somebody that young. I would never.
Was it 10 years difference?
It was like 9.5-year difference, which is very significant for someone who's in their 30s and someone who is just starting their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Very different mindsets. At the time, I was in a place where, like, I had been treated as an adult in my world because I was forced into the adult world. I wasn't a 22-year-old who was fresh out of college. I was a 22-year-old who'd been living on their own for 4 years, 5 years, and was taking care of myself. I had to mature a lot earlier, and people treated me a lot older. Like, when I was 19, people thought I was 25.
Yeah,
and
you said that before.
Yeah, and I was treated like I was in my mid-20s, even though it's, again, my perspective on it now is like, I was such a child still. Like, I was still a young adult. And I felt like I skipped out on a lot of girlhood, is what I like to say. Like, skipped out on a lot of the things that I should have been doing.
Because you were in this relationship.
Because I was in this relationship. But there were a lot of other elements to it. It's much, much more complicated than that. To skip all the way to the end.
The revelation,
not all the way to the end, but to the end of the relationship. It ended very badly. It ended with so much heartbreak, at least on my end, and so much pain. I was like, I had been in it for a couple of years, and it was like just something that when I was in it, I couldn't really take a step back and see what was going on. But as soon as I started to take a step back, I was like, ooh, this was messy. This was bad. I should not have been in this. But I was. And I can't go back and change it. All I can do is take what I learned and move forward. So the initial wound of the relationship felt one way, where I was just trying to heal my broken heart. I was just trying to understand why somebody that I loved so much could not and chose not to love me back. All I wanted to do was talk about it. All I could talk about was this horrible thing that had happened to me and this horrible thing that I went through. And it took some time to, like, heal it, to get through it. I did the work, I did the reflection. I would even say to, like, my family members, like, hey, if I know he was horrible. If I get back together with him, you are not allowed to judge me. And I didn't think I was going to, but I was like, I don't know. Like, at that time, I really thought we were fated. Like, I was like, this is my person. Turns out it was a person, but it was somebody who was meant to come in and teach me a really valuable lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning from it. Then we echo out a few years from this initial wound of, hey, I'm healing my heart is healing, I'm recognizing patterns in relationships, I'm shying away from people that echo his patterns, I'm not getting myself into that situation again. I will not be with somebody who does not value me and who does not treat me the way I should be treated. Then a few years ago, actually I had a chance meeting after years of avoiding each other, no contact, and at that point I was like, oh, I don't care about this anymore. Like, I don't care the way I did. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt me the way it did. Where I used to dread
Running into
running into him, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, if I ever see him on the street, if I see him anywhere, I don't know what I would do. I would lose my mind. I would
And
probably
then
have a
you
panic attack.
did see him.
And then I did see him, and I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. Again, the lesson was I had healed myself so much. I had built such a great life for myself beyond this relationship. I recognized that had we stayed in it, for both of us, it would have been bad. And like, I'm glad that we moved past it. And I had said this before, he even asked me, like, you hate me? He didn't ask me. He was just like, you hate me. And I was like, I don't got energy to hate, babe. I really don't. And that again was like a huge step for me in the healing, because I was so angry when it first happened. I was so hurt, and I never wanted to hurt him back or wish him any ill will. I don't hope he was doing well, but I was like, I don't wish you any pain. I don't wish you any hurt. I don't hope the same thing happens to you. I just know that you're not going to do the work to heal yourself. And that in itself is enough for me, because I'm going to go do the work and I'm going to be better from this. I'm going to evolve. I'm going to change. And I'm going to move past this. It's everything I feel.
Propelled you forward.
Propelled me forward. Flash forward to now, this third time that I'm having to be faced with this. And again, now the irony is that I am the age that he was when we met. And looking back on this, I was actually talking to you.
Yeah, we talked about this.
And going through like something on my computer or my phone, and I found an old video of us together. And I'm looking at this video and I'm like, oh my God, this poor girl is so in love with this man who does not give a fuck about her, and she can't even see it. I can see it now. Like, the fakeness of it. And it just, like, it hurt so much, because
that's what happens. It hurts more.
But it hurt differently this time, because I was more hurt for her. It wasn't about anger towards him. It was about, you poor girl, like past life Jess, you poor girl, you were so young, you were so in love with this handsome man who came in and said he was going to protect, provide, and take care of you and love you and promised you love and didn't deliver. And again, then I'm starting to go through this process of like, you know what? She was so brave for going through that. I am so grateful to her for doing all that work, for going through this relationship, for getting out on the other side, for setting the boundaries, for holding the boundaries.
You were letting your love spill backwards.
I was filling my love back onto myself and like doing that shadow of like healing. And then I was like, I had a revelation where I was like, this relationship really made me take a step back and be like, I never want to get hurt like this again. This is where I talk about those little sneaky shadows that come out and around. Because then what I recognized, and I was like, yeah, I really haven't been in like a long-term relationship, and all the guys I've been dating are kind of
emotionally unavailable.
Gee, I wonder where that stemmed from. And I do still say I love with my whole chest. I am not afraid to love people. But what I've realized is that I am afraid to let people love me, because the idea is that I will love the fuck out of you. I will be there. I will be the best, most supportive partner that you can have. But the second you try to get close to me, I'll never, and it's like, again, we're working on it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of like, I would never let somebody close enough to hurt me that way again. And I've been picking people to love who are not just emotionally unavailable. I know that they can never love me to the capacity that I could love them. So I'm already prefaced. I already know this is gonna end badly.
I mean, I'll say it again in the next episode, but I'll say it to you now. We self-sabotage
Mm-hmm.
so that we can predict the outcome
Oh
because
yeah.
it's safer. So by you choosing these men that are emotionally unavailable over and over and over again, you're predicting already. Subconscious you is going, I pick a man that's not really ready, but then you know how it's going to end. And no matter how hurt you are when you get to that point, you're like, well, there you go.
Yeah. I'm
I was
like,
going to be
look,
hurt.
you proved me right.
Yeah, and
You proved me right.
it's I mean, and I am no shrink. I had a therapist say this to me years ago. She was, "Why do you keep self-sabotaging?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "Because you want to control the outcome."
Oh yeah.
And true, like, uninhibited love is blindfolding yourself, crossing your arms, turning around and falling backwards over the cliff. That's what true uninhibited love is. And that is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Well, it's also, I mean, I think there's a safe way to fall back and know that someone's going to catch you.
Yeah, you peek and you say, "Oh, look, there's balloons down there.
Yeah.
I'll fall on something soft."
But I mean, and it's also to this point too of like, that is one part of the yarn, the knot of yarn is,
Mm,
oh, I'm picking on emotionally unavailable people. Then I go back to this relationship that's triggered this whole
pattern.
self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Not the pattern,
Just the
the
self.
self-reflection. Because then I go back and I ask myself, and this is where think it gets hard for people because I can call myself out. I can say, yeah, I'm purposely picking on emotionally unavailable people because I am emotionally unavailable to actually let people get to know me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm emotionally available to love, but I'm not emotionally available to receive it. I can call myself out on that. Listen, I'm a Cancer. We're crabs.
Yeah,
You know?
you got hard shells.
Got a hard shell, but a soft, mushy interior.
It
You just
really.
have to get past the shell. But again, I'll call myself out again and be like, okay, I'm looking at this relationship that's triggered this reflection.
Uh-huh.
Is this where this me being emotionally unavailable in this way started? Or does it go back even further? And I look back and I'm tracing this shit all the way back to my my dad.
Ooh, talk about a dark night of the
Oh,
soul.
it's dark. And I share this not to, because I hate sharing my shit, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's for me to deal with. It's for me to share. But I'm like, I know people have been through relationships like this. I know people are doing this work. So hopefully me sharing this journey helps. But what I really wanted to share was specifically this tie back to parents, because I always go back to everything ripples out from what you learned when you were young,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it goes back to my dad and my childhood and like reflecting on that relationship. My dad always worked. He missed a lot of things for me growing up, a lot of dance recitals, a lot of father-daughter dances, things
We're
that were
important.
so important to me. And again, that also it reflects back in so much else,
And not so much else. Everything.
in everything.
In everything.
And it's so interesting because then I started thinking about I am not the only person with an emotionally unavailable father.
No.
Unfortunately, we are dealing with, on a grander scheme of things, and this is where I get super meta.
Meta Jess.
Meta Jess says that our parents' generation was not taught how, specifically, I would say our divine masculines were not taught how to be providers, protectors, and emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
That is what a divine masculine is. A divine masculine is protective. A divine masculine is supportive. A divine masculine is provider energy, providing not just physically, but emotionally, supportive structure. I think like the pillars of a house, got four corners, strength, emotionally, but that's become is toxic masculinity, which is deflecting, which is providing, but it's all about wealth and power and, status. It's not about emotional availability. It's not about supportiveness. It's not about nurturing. Divine masculine can be nurturing. But this generation of our parents was not taught how to do that.
Mm-mm.
So we have a generation of adults who are now at a point in life where we are the products of emotionally unavailable fathers and mothers who sought out emotional availability from their children to make up for the lack of emotional availability from their partners, and that created
codependency and lack of coping skills.
Yes.
Because when you're codependent, you don't know how to self-soothe. So we have a generation of people, of millennials, I would argue, that are codependent and are grasping to find coping skills because we never had any, because we were never forced to figure out, or we were never asked, rather, what do I need?
Yeah.
And we were never given space. So now we have a generation of millennials,
parentified
children raising their parents, a lot of millennials raising their kids, and then also healing themselves. So shout out to the millennials with kids right now, because I see you. I see that gentle parenting. I see you giving your kids space, explaining to them what you need, while also honoring yourself, while also holding space for your boomer parent. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And I will even say that one of the thoughts that came up for me, or something that arose for me during this work, was I was like, I gotta figure this out. I don't want to put this on my child. I don't want to be an emotionally unavailable parent for a child. Should that happen for me?
But I think you're already at the step that you need to be. I mean, I listened to a lot of other podcasts, and I just listened to one the other day, and they were talking about their struggle with their child, and like how when their child's emotionally dysregulated, how it often triggers them. And I'm like, that is so beautiful to even name.
Yeah.
And like doing the dark night of the soul work and understanding that ascending is not linear, that you are going to fall back, that you're going to be triggered by your kid.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard.
You're constantly, I'm ready to learn the lesson though. And that, I think, is where I'm very grateful for where I'm at in my journey, because I have done a lot of these lessons. That's why I'm moving through this so quickly. I maybe started doing the work on this specific lesson like last Thursday. It's Tuesday. It's been 6-7 days.
And like God said, it's been 6 days.
7.
And on the seventh day, we rest.
I will rest. But yeah, it's so cool to be in this space now where it's like, yes, I'm going to therapy. Yes, I'm working on it in that way, but I'm also doing a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation, a lot of reflection. And what's cool for me, journaling has always been my number one go-to, because I feel like when I write it down, I'm also a writer, so it makes a lot of sense. But when I write it down, as I'm writing it down, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's it. It's connecting all the dots. And then making that ball of yarn a lot thicker.
I love it.
Yeah. So, how do you know if you're growing versus spiritual bypassing?
Well, my first thing I would say is surround yourself with people who are going to call you out on your bullshit. And that means some people fall away, or maybe they don't fall away, but they're still part of your life. But you got to start recognizing those people that are just there for the fun, and those people that are there to be like, hey now. Overemphasizing positivity or toxic positivity. Don't gaslight me with glitter. Don't make it funny. Don't make a joke out of it. And it's also up to you, the individual, to say, hey, I don't need toxic positivity right now. I need to just see it as it is. It can be that simple.
and ignoring the personal issues. So, I mean, listen, I've been doing it for years. Been focusing on the wrong things, I think, is like learning the wrong lesson or
Those
taking the wrong takeaway.
those shadows be living rent free in your closet, and the
Mm-hmm.
sage did not do the work. Ooh, surprise, surprise! You can't sage away the shadows. Who would
No,
have thunk?
you can't just expect, do a little, light a candle and be like, I'm releasing this and expect it to be released. You actually have to go through the process of releasing it. The
Mm-hmm.
candles, the sage, the crystals, it's all symbolic. It's all symbolic, and it's a way to help you get through that
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then using spiritual practices to numb emotions. I call this emotionally ghosting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what you just said. Don't light the candle and think it's going to go away.
Yeah.
It's not how it works.
No, no. And then develop exaggerated sense of detachment. So becoming emotionally detached from your own experience.
Namaste is not a personality. And shout out Real Housewives of New Jersey when Teresa Giudice just keeps saying namaste, namaste. And then like 3 seasons later, she's just like throwing glasses again after being totally namaste. And I'm like, you learned the practice, but you didn't embody it.
Yeah. Yes. I will use an example of, I mean, you you have people in your life, and I think you were just about to touch on this as well, where you have friends who are like, I'm going on this spiritual journey too. They're like, great, and you start doing the work and you really start doing the work. And I've had people that have been on spiritual journeys parallel to mine that have gone through the motions of the work,
Mm,
that have, I meditate, I journal, but they're not calling themselves out. They're not actually facing their shadows. They're journaling like, I woke up and I had toast today. Or they're meditating, but they're not reflecting during meditation.
yeah.
They're not staring at the mirror. And those people, unfortunately, do end up falling away.
And everybody's path is different, but I will say, and I'm a chameleon. I change a lot. I I I open and I welcome the rawest parts of you in friendship and community. I want to see it because I grew up in a household where a lot of it was just like a mask. And I have spent 12 plus years trying to take off that mask. And I feel like I'm finally living an authentic, raw life. And when I see people with a mask, I'm like, no, it's safe.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's safe. Take off the mask.
Oh,
It's going to be okay. But if people aren't ready to take off that mask, there's nothing, you can't take it off for them.
yeah.
It's okay. This is like a Marvel analogy, but like, do you know Venom? It's like an alien. It covers up Spider-Man. He has to take it off himself.
Okay.
Nobody else can take off the mask for you.
Okay.
It's a superhero
Yeah.
analogy. That was nerdy.
I love it. It's great.
So
I know nothing about Marvel. I've seen some of the movies. Could not tell you who is who. So we've also got, and I would really like to touch on this feeling of a strong sense of enlightenment. And what I mean by that is that you feel like, I'm enlightened. I'm exempt from all trauma and pain and negative vibes. That is not real. True enlightenment, and I would say you're loud about it. And I always say this. Well, what I actually say is guilty people are loud. Guilty people are loud.
Jess.
But what I also say is like, people who are lying are loud. I'm sorry, but if you're truly enlightened, I don't need you to shout it from the rooftops. You just be enlightened, you know? People who, and I would also say it's like, people who really want to be defined will shout how they want to be defined. People who wear their mask will tell you what their mask is. People who are insecure deep down, but want people to believe they are secure, will be like, I'm so confident I'm secure. Look at me. They need to be the loudest in the room to mask their insecurity. It's, and there's many layers to that. I'm just using those examples, but I always say it, guilty people are loud.
I like that.
So when you're not knowing what or who to believe, most times look at who's look at who's trying to run the narrative.
I'm thinking politics
Because,
right now in our country.
yes, big parallel. Because here's the thing, the truth always comes out. And what I always like to say when people do me wrong, or because I have run into it many times where there are versions of the truth that run around that are not the truth. But here's the thing, you don't need to fight the good fight and waste that energy fighting that narrative. The truth always comes out
Well,
and it always comes to surface. So,
well, people will assign you to either be a villain or whatever in their story, usually because you are mirroring something that they don't want to look at.
yeah,
So if you are villainized in someone's story, if you are doing this work, if you are living consciously and doing good to the best of your ability, and someone categorizes you as a villain, it's because you're mirroring something that they're also probably doing that they're not ready to deal with,
yeah,
which is really shitty dark night of the soul honesty. But I've been starting to do that too. I'm like, what do I think about somebody else? No, no, no. That's that. This is mine to deal with. They're not that. I'm this. So
yeah,
now I have to deal with it.
yeah. I'm like, the universe will always show the truth though. If you are aligned and the universe is working in your favor, you will never have to fight those feelings because again, somebody creating a version of you that is not you because of a mirror that you triggered in them and now that you're their villain, once they do the work, they're going to see what is the truth and the truth is not, oh, this person did this thing or showed me this mirror. It's, oh,
It taught me.
it taught me. I saw something in them that I didn't like because it was something that I needed to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, the hope of the work is that we get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so a sign of a true spiritual awakening. Will you guide us through those bullet points?
A heightened sense of intuition and self-awareness. It's feeling more in tune with yourself, your inner guide, your understanding of your emotions, your motivations. I always say it is your gut feeling. And the more you practice feeling it, the more it's going to be true
Mm-hmm.
over and over again. And then this desire to live authentically. Quit your job, fix and for firing, go follow your dreams, be an artist. And also knowing that you don't really owe anybody anything. You owe kindness because that's the karma that's going to be reflected back to you. But no is a full sentence. I've said it before. I'm going to keep saying it again. No is a full sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And then just this longing to build community, longing to connect with others. It's we are a species that is meant for interconnectedness. We're not meant to be isolated. I don't care what you think.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a huge group of friends, but you need people. People need people.
Yeah.
And then embracing, kind of like what I said the other night that I went through, embracing the positive and the negative emotions at the same time, really being that scale of balance and knowing that you can hold both at the same time. I feel like you already said this, but knowing, when you're waking up, when existential dread and doing the work doesn't feel scary, but feels like exciting because you
Yeah.
can connect the dots. You
Mhm.
can figure it out. You have the tool. Yeah, you did
Yeah.
say this earlier. And
I
I was
did.
like, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
It kind of gets exciting.
Yeah. So, what is the role of repetition or relapse?
you, you have to repeat the pattern. It's a reminder. It's not a punishment. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. And I say it so that I also remember it for myself. It's learning the same lessons on a smaller scale, on a larger scale. They're never going to stop. And I think the sooner you surrender to that, the easier the lessons are as they come and as they get repeated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm constantly reliving shadow work. I say it all the time. I'm your number one advocate for therapy. If you've never been in it and you need someone to like be your cheerleader, it's me. I've been in it for 12 years, and there are still days where randomly I'll start talking about a topic that I thought I had tackled, and I will be sobbing uncontrollably, and then I get mad because I'm like, I thought I already dealt with this, and like I said, the more you do this work, the more painful it can become because you get in tune with your emotions faster. So reliving whatever story it was in therapy that I'd started to tackle 10 years ago, talking about it now hurts faster because I'm more
Yeah.
in tune with what happened and what it did to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to name what I'm feeling, identify what I need maybe in that moment or overall. Do I need to continue talking about this? Do I need to stop talking about this? What do I need right now? And then I make a choice and I stay with my decision.
Yeah.
And that really gets you, that trains your gut feeling. I talk about it all the time. Like your gut intuition it's so true, and you have to get used to listening to it and
Yeah.
exercising it almost.
Well, I think also too, like we talk about, like awareness is the first step.
Mm-hmm.
When you're aware of something, it becomes a lot easier to address and recognize the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why repetition, like you said, music, it's all patterns, life is all patterns. And the repetition of doing things, it's like practice. You have to practice setting boundaries. You have to practice accepting certain things into your life. Like, you have to practice accepting love in your life. You have to practice putting up walls and boundaries when people overstep.
Mm-hmm.
You have to practice setting boundaries with yourself.
And I mean, you just said something that triggered my brain where if we are nothing but a sequence of patterns, how would you describe DNA? A sequence of patterns. How are we created? By our ancestors and by the generations before us. So part of my work that I'm doing right now in therapy is I'm really looking back generationally and recognizing the patterns that have rippled through my family.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you believe in this, I think patterns live encoded in our DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that the love that I receive or I think I want or how I love, literally it's a pattern inside of me, and if I want to do it differently, I have to rework it.
You just triggered a thought in me, and to piggyback off this, especially when it comes to, like, again, we talked about our generation being the parentified child,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or the millennials are the parentified children. You can go back and recognize these patterns in your ancestry, in the adults in the generation that raised you. But remember, it's not your job to heal them. It is not your job to look into, like, your parents' patterns and say, okay, so they probably did this because their parent was like this. And then now they need to heal this. And if I heal them, I can heal me. No. That's, to put it plainly, that's their shit to figure out. You are here to take care of you. You're here to learn your patterns. And what I think is beautiful, because you're not going to leave them behind. And I think this is the same, it's true with friends, it's true with family. You see friends that are repeating these patterns.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you love your friends, it is not your job to do their work. It is not your job to heal them. You can support them. You can, and I love to say, the best way to help people grow is for you to grow. Because when you and I win, when I grow, I take everybody with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I ascend to a higher state of consciousness, when I break down my ego, when I break down these walls, everyone around me benefits because I have more love, I have more self-awareness, I recognize these patterns, and I do run into things with friends and family where I'm like, I just don't see you doing the work, and I can't stay here and wait for you to catch up. But here's the thing, I will be there when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you how great it is on the other side. And I want you to come join me. But I'm not going to wait for you to do it. And I'm not going to drag you along kicking and screaming. You're going to do the work on your own. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And you lead by example. The best way to lead is to lead by example. And it's up to everyone else to match that energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So introspection, self-reflection, we talk about it all the time, meditating, journaling, just allowing your inner voice to come out in a safe, confined space that's just for you.
Yeah.
And acknowledging and processing your emotions instead of avoiding. Do not spiritually bypass, do not emotionally ghost yourself. You have to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it can feel confusing. Doubt is a natural part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Questioning yourself as you're going through this. Like, I mean, again, I go back to the example that I gave. That was, I looked at the situation and I came up with one conclusion. But then I went back to the root that I thought was the core. And I was like, is this really the core? Or does it go deeper than that? And I discovered it did. And now I can go back and I can even do even more deep.
I was gonna say, and it
work.
probably goes deeper than that, but you're only.
But I'm only going with what deal, like, again, to my point of like, I'm not gonna do, the work for me stops where I end. As soon as it becomes about somebody else's healing, I'm done doing that work.
Mhm.
I definitely am empathic and I tend to take on other people's pain. I tend to take on my loved ones and my friends and family. I want them to ascend. I want them to go through this and heal their wounds and be the best versions of themselves. I want that for everybody. But again, that lesson, I had to learn that lesson of I cannot drag you kicking and screaming with me. I cannot do it. I will not bear your weight. I am only responsible for myself. And the boundary ends with, again, I can show you what the work looks like. I can tell you about how I've healed. I can tell you about the things that I've done and the things I'm still doing and constantly reflecting on every day. But I'm not here to do it for you.
Let go or be dragged. And
No,
and it comes
and
and it goes from both ways,
yeah,
because you can't hold on to someone and drag them along, and you don't want to hold on to something and be
yeah.
dragged. You literally just have to let go.
And yeah, it's like let go or be dragged back down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it does, that's where we say like people fall away in this work because,
You try holding up the other people that you
and
think
they
need to be
just,
saved, or
yeah,
it, it shows your love and your emotional depth, but it's not your business.
not for me.
Not for you.
No. It's like, again, the work is already so hard to do it yourself. The work is already so hard, and it's easy to distract yourself with other people's work and forget your own too.
Stop dropping all the good shit on me. I
I'm
hope.
sorry.
Wait, can you say that again so other people can like listen? Say it again.
I don't even remember what I
You
said.
said stop essentially dealing with other people's shit to avoid yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't use other people's spiritual journey as a distraction from your own. People
What?
love to be like, I have all this stuff I need to deal with, but let me deal with your thing. And they get fixated and then they try to fix other people. And they forget about their own stuff, their own traumas, their own shadows.
And then I would bet that they then become overwhelmed.
Yep.
And I would also wager that when they become overwhelmed, it's because they can't discern if it's the other person's shit that they've dumped on them,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's their shit. And I would also probably argue that it's everything intertwined. Because remember, we choose people who will mirror us in some of the most beautiful ways. Like, I choose you because she helps me shine brighter. Literally, like, this whole podcast would not be possible without you, because I'm so disorganized and I'm so like la la la. Like, you help me shine brighter. But there are also those people that I've chosen because it's a safety net.
Yeah.
And it's safe. And what, you know what else, what's screaming safe? Your ego.
Mm-hmm.
That's my ego choosing those people, not what I actually need to choose. It's a mighty fine line you walk.
Yeah.
In building your tribe and choosing your mirrors.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And choosing yourself.
Choose yourself.
Yeah.
Engage in spiritual practices.
So we're navigating regression, we're navigating confusion, navigating the doubt. And it's, again, natural part of the journey to feel those things. It's crucial to awakening, to address those challenges. But we have tools that we can use, like journaling, rest, taking a break, dream work, energy clearing. Again, like I said, saging doesn't do the work for you, but it is a great way to
clean slate.
Symbolize. It's a symbol. All of these things are symbols of cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
Although sage does have antibacterial properties, so it really is a cleansing plant.
Oh, I got a crazy
Um,
story. One time I was like, God, I know I was in a dark night of the soul moment, and I was also super sick. And I had gone to the doctor, they'd given me antibiotics, and I just randomly walked across the street while I waited for my script to be filled. And I walked into a holistic store, and I wasn't gonna buy anything. I was just like, oh yeah, this is my vibe. And the woman just looked at me. She goes, "Get over here." she she saged
sage.
me, but like also like burned eucalyptus or something. And
Oh.
it like opened, I literally could breathe
Mhm.
for the first time in like 6 days. And I said, I would have never thought smoke did this. And I admittingly don't remember what it is. We'll have to look it up and link it below or something. But it it like made me temporarily feel better
Wow.
because it just opened up my sinuses. And I was like,
Yeah. There was a time when I was really, really, really sick. Like, I've never been this sick where I had a fever. I was like down on the couch, like could not physically get up.
mm-hmm.
And I like couldn't get anybody to cover my shift at work, so I had to go to work because it was pre-COVID, so like nobody was sympathetic about be sick, stay home. And one of my coworkers took one look at me and was like, "I'll be right back." Went and got me a wellness shot from like the shop next door, and was like, got me like two of them. Was like, "Take these." I took those shots within 10 minutes. I was like, "Woo, I'm good!" Like, so crazy how like holistic things can actually be medicine.
So find what works for you.
Yeah. But with this, engaging in introspective practices, seeking guidance, cultivating practices and spiritual disciplines, focusing on personal growth, and caring for your well being. That's why I love that rest is a part of this because, and I say this to you all the time about the work, the spiritual work. I go through periods of time where I'm like, I'm really working on something and I'm going hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that I'm like, I've been working on my shit that I've been dealing with for a week. And I'm like, yeah, 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 let's fucking go. Like, I'm like ready to just tackle it. And I'm going to do all this work. I'm going to use some vital force energy. I'm going to get that shit to a point where I've got it under control. I got it in check. And now I'm at the point where I'm just getting pop quizzes. And now I'm just putting what I learned about this and reflected into practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it did. And it's so funny too, because we talked about how I had been out of therapy and had just recently like called up a clinic to be like, hey, I'd like to start therapy. And they were like, can you start tomorrow? And I was like, and the universe provides. Everything aligns when you're ready to do the work, which is again why it's super cool to get to a certain point with it. I'm getting excited talking about it.
Everything just happens faster.
Everything happens faster, whereas sometimes you might need to sit with it longer. But after I do all this work, I'm going to take some time to rest, not be so intense in the work, not be journaling every day, not be intently meditating with intention, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. I'm not going to be constantly reflecting and going back through this. I'm going to just, and then we'll start the practical program where we put things into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Take everything you learned and apply it. But you can't just keep going, going, going. It's not, okay, I did this really hard lesson and now we're going to go back into, like, I feel like school was like that. Like, school was so like, oh, you finished that test? Great. Here are 5 more chapters that you need to read by tomorrow, and we need notes, and you have a pop quiz on Tuesday. It's like, no, spirituality is not like that. It's like, you're going to get ready to get to that big test.
You know, I'm thinking about music again for a second. It was a striking moment. If you read musical notation, we notate the rests. Did you know? I mean, yeah, you played an instrument, you know this. And I was teaching like a beginner piano adult student, and they looked at me and they go, "Why do you count the rests?" And I was like, I've never been asked that before. I was like, I don't know how to answer this. But like I always say, as musicians, we are the keeper of time. Time's not real. But in this 3D world we're living, time is real. Music is real. Musical notation is real. They count the rests in music. It's not just like a blank pause for an indefinite period of time. So maybe in our life, we're asked to count our rests. find those moments of nothingness
Yeah.
and count it and know that the music is going to start up again. But it's okay.
Yeah. Rest is productive because without rest, we burn out and you can reach spiritual burnout. So, introspection, reflection, meditation, journaling, acknowledging and processing the emotions, seeking guidance from community, so connecting with mentors, spiritual leaders, we talked about that, engage with a supportive community. So, people who are like-minded. If there is somebody in your life who is not supportive of your journey, cut them loose. Tell them bye. I'm sorry. I'm going to be blunt about that. If somebody is not supportive of your journey, they do not need to be a part of it.
Give them a Michael Scott. Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah.
Cut them out. Snip, snap.
Snip, snap. Cultivate faith and trust. Embrace faith. So times of doubt, lean on faith as an anchor. Reflect on past experiences.
It's your spiral.
It's your spiral. Acceptance and presence. Learn to be at peace with the present moment and trust the process.
You know what I just got an image of? Like a spiral staircase. And how ornate and beautiful. I've always loved spiral staircases. I've never lived anywhere that's had one, but anytime I'm in a home, I'm like, I need to walk up that spiral staircase.
Have you been to a lighthouse?
Yeah.
Lighthouses I went to a lighthouse, or not, I didn't go to a lighthouse, where my family would go for our summer vacations.
Yeah.
Every year. There's a lighthouse in Cape May, New Jersey. And it's every summer we would do the lighthouse. We'd go from the bottom and you walk all the way up to the top of the spiral staircase. And I always remember when we got to the top, I would always be like so scared because I would look down and see the bottom of that staircase from the top. And I'm like, oh no, we're really high up. But
think of
it's a beautiful view. And
we keep saying spiral. Think of your spiritual ascension like a spiral staircase. And the staircase, as in a lighthouse tower, is probably going to look the same every corner you turn, but it's the view when you look out the window that's going to change.
And also, the spiral is usually wider at the bottom. You have more steps to work towards to get to the top. Those last few steps to the top, it's usually pretty narrow because it's a cone.
See, now that I'm thinking, I don't know the last time I was in a lighthouse spiral stair. I know I've gone up one, but I can't remember the last time I did it.
Oh, I mean, it's just ingrained in my memory with something we did every year. But yeah, I agree. Spiral staircase. So engage in spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, study the sacred text. Exploring religious texts can provide comfort and guidance and a deeper understanding of beliefs. Practice gratitude.
Oh, I love a gratitude
practice. A daily gratitude practice can help shift focus from negative to positive. And I will recommend highly to anybody who's new to journaling, who's new to a gratitude practice, the 5-minute journal. It is a journal that every day you do it morning and night. You write 3 things that you're grateful for. You write out your to-do list. Like, it's a very simple journal and it's guided. And then you do 3 things that happen during the day that you're grateful for at night before you go to bed. And if you're looking to start a journaling process, I really recommend it because it is so straightforward.
Kickstart it.
It's a great Kickstarter. So 5-minute journal, and it literally takes 5 minutes.
Beautiful.
With focus on physical and mental well-being. We got self-care. Address those mental and emotional toxins. We're in LA. People love to detox. So why not detox your negative emotions? Why not detox those negative beliefs, those limiting beliefs? And as always, you know us now, hopefully, or maybe you don't, but we are big advocates for seeking professional help. Seek a therapist. Get the help that you need outside. You know, healing looks different for everybody. That's also why it's not linear, is because everybody's journey is unique.
So different.
And we're all different. What works for us might not work for you. What worked for me might not work for Elise, and vice versa. But we're here to support each other. And again, community, reaching out, it's a huge part to it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Support your tribe.
And there's no one correct path.
Always just be looking for the answers. Well, this was Dark Night of the Soul. Oh, journal prompts.
Oh my God. I was going to say, this is Elise's favorite part.
So, because I've already journaled these. what lessons keep circling back, and ask yourself, what have I learned since the last time it showed up? I just did this the other day. Where in my life do I confuse stillness with stuckness? And what would it look like to honor the pause or honor the rest? Lastly, what part of me is still waiting for a finish line before it can rest, express, or receive love? And I would strongly recommend these because this is what came up for me this past weekend, and it was very enlightening to dive into these questions.
I'd also like to add in these 3 underneath.
Oh, those are mine before I made the decision.
If the soul is eternal, why are we in such a rush? You don't get it right this time, guess what? You get it right next time.
Yeah.
You know? I just liked that. If the soul is eternal, why are we in such a rush?
I mean, I wrote that because I'm in a very healthy partnership right now, and a lot of we're on year 2.5, and a lot of people are pressuring it for going in a certain direction, as society does. And I'm like, this is my forever person. I don't need to rush this.
No.
I have the rest of my life with him, hopefully. You know?
You can't rush healing.
No.
You can't, because again, like, it depends on you. It depends on the person, depends where you're at, depends what you're dealing with. But there is no timeline. There's no timeline.
It's your timeline. Yeah. Own it. You don't owe anybody an explanation.
Absolutely.
So, until next time.
See you later. Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you were here.
For more information on our episodes and to connect with us on social media,
follow us at Spiritual Alchemy Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Stay golden!